2 weeks ago, the Integrity Octane Series visited its first road course track of the season in the virtual Circuit of the Americas in Austin, Texas. So now, just about 2 weeks later, it's about time the Monday night Integrity Ignite Series gets its taste of the twists and turns. And for race number 5 on the schedule tonight, why not do it a little bit differently with a track that the Monday night guys have never seen before, at least in this form. Host to our 300-mile mid-season classic, the Charlotte Motor Speedway already has quite the reputation. But tonight, we're going to change things up. We're going to go inside the track, and we're going to cut through it from top to bottom. This is the Charlotte Roval, a 2.28-mile, 12-corner configuration that takes the traditional mile and a half and makes it a road course in its own right. More than 50 drivers have once again registered for what is our biggest ever road course race by field size in the Integrity Racing League history. And that means it's going to be an unexpected, unpredictable race from start to finish throughout all 46 laps. Qualifying is just concluded and Ethan Lane finds himself on the pole position, and we'll bring you all the action from start to finish live on FTN. I'm your host, David Kreutz, commentating and producing. Welcome to tonight's coverage. Number 6 of Ethan Lane, the pole sitter once again at these road courses as he was 2 weeks ago in Austin, Texas. Now, notably, as we take our eye in the sky here, drivers getting 5 extra minutes of practice, so we're first going to run through your starting grid, which sees that man, the number 6 of Ethan Lane, at the pole position. Ethan Lane goes inside of row number 1, and next to him tonight will be the number 8 of Matthew Thunhorst, the JTM Motorsport drivers, up at the front of the field once again. You'll have Hunter Matulanis, third place for the rookie, and Scott Eckridge, who is on a back-to-back run in the Integrity Octane Series. He's still looking for his first win on Monday nights. Scott starts in 4th. Braxton DeWeese, your defending champion, will begin this race P5. And Blake Cannon, who's now running 2 consecutive victories in the Ignite Series, is looking for the hat trick. He will be looking for his 3rd tonight as he qualifies in 6th. 7th place is just behind in Thomas Bressie, who's multi-time road course winner in the Ignite Series. You'll have 8th place in Nick Tarbuck. Michael Araya is in 9th, and Don Stevenson concludes the top 10. With him will be Michael Stroll and Tom Wetmore rounding out the first dozen. 13th on back will show you, of course, the driver of the number 9 is first up. He's Justin Morton, and Morton is in 13th with Rob Ackley 14th place, Matt Press 15th, Gavin Fitzgerald P16, and Jake Miller 17th on debut with Nicholas Ward getting that 18th spot. 19th place goes to Paul Mikolajczyk with Sam Nieto 20th, Jack Drucker then in 21st, Jacob Fife is 22nd, and 23rd, Cody Smith. Ronnie Osmer going to be P24 as a result in that number 55, with 25th place going to Sean Carmody in the number 40, and Blake Gordon gets that 26th. 27th, 28th, 29th, and 30th, Hensley, Mikas, Davis, and McClendon. And to round out the top 35, you'll have immediately after Stagner, Shue, Miller, McFerrin, and Josh Christman, Will Reichard, then 36th. To end the top 40, you'll have the following drivers: Ziti, Tigner, Cooper, and Foss. Daniel Foss goes 40th on the dot, and then you'll have Dak Oparka in 41st. Elliot Henderson will then be in 42nd, and you'll have P43 in Josh Gallagher in the number 96. Cal Filarski, Ryan Potter for 45th, Andrew Hamilton, Brandon Bernhardt, Steve Durham for 48th. And your final drivers on the starting grid, here they come. Adam Wood, who's going to be tonight starting at 49th. Boomer Logan, P50. Joe Dinsmore, 51st. And Ryan Vaughn in 52nd. Lastly, Cole DeRosiers, the 53rd and final starter. That's your number 23. He'll begin tonight at the tail end of the field with a lot of room to, of course, go up from there. Tail end is the 23. Front is Ethan Lane and Matthew Thunhorst. That's your starting grid from the Charlotte Roval. Let's take a look downstairs now and see what's going on with what is a very busy racing circuit. There's Thomas Bressie, just to name one. Quite a few drivers now taking that extra practice in what is a jammed-packed track, that is without a doubt. The Charlotte Motor Speedway in Roval form. We have been here before with the Integrity Ignite Series. Never, of course. The Octane Series, however, has seen this track in previous instances. As, of course, we saw in 2023 the first ever running of this Octane Series Grand Prix at the Roval. It was the number 47 of Don Stevenson who got the victory that night, and he's in the field today, so maybe Don looking to replicate some of that old success, as he's one of the, historically speaking, better drivers at this venue in terms of what we've seen before in the Integrity Racing League. The Charlotte Motor Speedway, of course, was the host of the 2023 Ignite Series Championship, which DJ Stagner won over who else but Thomas Bressi. Stagner was able to get the job done by virtue of just barely escaping on pit road in the final cycle ahead of Bressi and finishing out the season just 2 points up on the number 24 driver. JTM's number 8 in Matthew Thunhorse right now is going to be second overall in qualifying and 0.3 of a second back in this final practice session. Still looks to be one of the quickest guys without a doubt, although Jack Drucker puts it all the way up to the top. And your Daytona winner, fastest in final practice, that's Jack Drucker, the number 56, putting in a quick time, 93 thousandths better than Eckrich in second. The field is set to go once again, and it is a massive field at that. Take a look at your iRacing official pace car, because very soon they'll be alongside a field that is jam-packed with talent and with quantity. The big question becomes, how can we manage so many drivers on the field all at once? That's just down to about 35th we're looking at here so far. Look back up, you'll see Ethan Lane, and of course he's going to have himself the best view at the front of the field. Doesn't have to concern himself all too much with the litany of drivers who stand behind him. Pit road will be accompanied, of course, by those yellow barriers, which means we're coming through and cutting onto the racetrack. You'll see it when drivers are let off by the iRacing official pace car, but right now, everyone's just going to remain on pit road in formation, and we'll go from there. Jam-packed to Ethan Lane and company. Lane is still looking for his first win of the year. He's been eluded twice in the Octane Series, and he hasn't gotten it done either in the Ignite Series. He's gotten close, yes, but still hasn't put it through for certain. I think that's going to be the big question, whether or not Ethan Lane can at long last get to that victory, kick off his season. Dominant last year with 14 Octane Series wins. He's got the talent. Rest assured that if he can put it up there, he's going to try to keep it there. Lane for P1, Matthew Thunhorse for P2. We're on back. You'll have Scott Eckrich and company as drivers are getting themselves fully settled in for the night. Rob Ackley in at number 22 as well. Ackley, one of the Domination Intimidation Racing guys. They've got some at the front of the field. Michael Stroll today going to qualify in 11th, so he's just outside of the top 10 and looking for that strong start to carry him through. Michael Stroll just ahead of teammate Ackley. You've also got to keep out for a few guys further back who don't have those team affiliations. Say, for instance, Cody Smith in the number 18. Jacob Fife, already a winner on Tuesday nights in that number 36. He's going to be a strong one to look out for, that is without a doubt. There's Ethan Lane and his number 6 right now. Going to take it to the front of the field. Of course, Ethan's goal, stay up front, win this race, and it would be his first win on either calendar, Mondays or Tuesday nights. Quite the shock that it's been the number 70 of Scott Eckrich dominant on the Octane Series side, and Blake Cannon dominant on the Ignite Series side. Both drivers having 2 wins in those respective series. Blake right now 2 consecutive wins on Mondays, and Scott Eckrich 2 consecutive on the Tuesdays here. So, yeah, it's clear who are the best drivers, and they get to face off once again head-to-head tonight. Eckrich and Cannon doing double duty as per usual. And here they are once again. Lane and his Ford Mustang will bring us through as the iRacing official pace car is given one more lap to get things settled in. And we have just about all 53 drivers already on the starting grid here. It's unbelievable how many drivers we will be starting. We've seen more than 50 for the majority of the season already. We saw 58 at Daytona, and we saw 55 the week after that. But we're still a month into the season, leveling off at just about 50 each and every night. Top 50 drivers are locked into the main event each and every week, which means that guys like Lane and company, those who are at the front of the point standings table, yes, they are locked in. But there's many other drivers who have to race their way in time and time again. Here's some of those in the mid-pack, such as Chad Mikas or Sean Carmody or Ronnie Osmer in the number 55. Osmer's at the front of the points pile-on, but some of these guys who don't have the stuff, they have to keep on racing in. They don't have the experience to back them, of course, in the form of those previous existing points. Means that they've made these races a little bit more of a struggle just to get in. While it may be cumbersome, it's good to see the field continuing to come out time and again. Race your way in. That's the format here in the Ignite Series. You have to qualify through to make it to the race. So many continue to accept that challenge, and so far, we've had a lot of the field doing a great job of just coming back time once more. 46 laps on the docket tonight, and they'll be all led, well, of course, Ethan Lane if he can break away, but the rest of the field is going to keep him honest. This 2.28 mile circuit is, by all accounts, one of the biggest on the schedule, mainly because we cut inside the mile-and-a-half shell of the Charlotte Motor Speedway and break it all the way down to the inside road course. As you can see tonight, we're using the configuration that we saw throughout the late 2010s and, of course, early 2020. So it's going to be very familiar to these drivers. They know what it looks like, and they're going to be taking it through these familiar turns. Of course, the oval turns. In oval 1 and 2, Lane's got control, and then we come toward our back straightaway chicane. It's almost like the Daytona road course, which this league has not been to yet, at a smaller scale. Hunter Matulanis, rookie who ran strong last week, qualified in third, so proving that he's no fluke right now. And impressive to see these guys who are coming in with a few less starts than the veterans already building themselves up to the top of the board and gaining that expertise and showing that you've got the stuff. That's what it's going to take if you want to become one of the best drivers in the Integrity Racing League. With such a strong level of competition, it's not easy. And it looks like right now already some fans in the chat room. Chris DeWeese and Alan Dart Images. It's the Braxton DeWeese fan club coming in first and foremost. Thank you for stopping by. Great to have you here. And of course, Mohammed Ibrahim coming in for Hunter Matulanis in that number 07. And he's got some fan support as one of the new guys. He'll have to go toe-to-toe with the vets, including Ethan Lane, if he wants to figure out who's got the stuff at the Charlotte Roval. We're coming toward the Tums Heartburn turn, and who else to do it but Ethan Lane. One of the road course aces gets things going from Charlotte. We're green once again from the Roval. 53 drivers take it through turn 1. Ethan Lane holds forward. He'll take P1 out of lap 1. Hunter Matulanis will be right behind. That rookie takes P2, and you'll have Braxton DeWeese in third. Matthew Thunhorse will fall back to P4. And Blake Cannon will end the top 5. Such as it is at the front of the field, it looks like the mid-pack also getting away nicely. We're looking right now at the number 5 of Tyler Hensley. This is the battle for about 27th place. We'll see Sam Nieto right there. There's the number 2. Looks like some back-end damage, but minor compression. Doesn't look to be a race ender. DJ Stagner goes high and wide and gives way for Sebastian Miller. But it looks like the Swamp Motorsports teammates will choose not to fight each other on track. DJ gets away just good enough into turn 1, and he'll keep that race lead 2 laps in out of 46. Now, with that said, we're looking at what's going to be not necessarily the longest of nights, but we changed things up, at least in terms of how long this race is going to be. About a quarter of the race got added on after we got things started. We were expecting for a 34-lap race. That was on the schedule. But if we went for 34 laps, it means that all the drivers would have gone through the entire race without going to pit road, which would have been painfully boring and meant that no strategy was involved. So the race has been extended by some 13 laps to allow some better racing action, and it should be better strategic action as well. Braxton Deweese up to 3rd with that new sponsorship on the car. You'll see the 3-dip Chevrolet up to P3, keeping it fittingly right there on the number. Braxton to the line is about a 1.5 seconds off of Ethan Lane, and it looks like in the early going anyway, Ethan Lane is not to be denied tonight after 2 consecutive runner-up finishes, finding the podium time and again in the Octane Series and yet not the win. Looks like he might also be able to flip the script a la Blake Cannon and take his former Tuesday night prowess over to the Mondays and find victory here first. Blake Cannon, who's now, of course, a 2-time back-to-back race winner, finds himself running 5th. Not at all a bad spot to be if you're that number 27. Cannon evidently has a little bit of damage maybe on the right side. You can see it more as we come up the track. Minor compression, maybe a little bit of contact with the wall, maybe with another driver, but it doesn't look to be anything serious. Currently, Cannon sits as P5, and it looks like he's in a comfortable position as well. Single file all the way throughout in these first top 15, 20 positions. Even a little bit further back. I mean, we'll take a look now at some 27th again. Casey Shue and Tyler Hensley following each other. Really no action in that respect. Everyone now running lonely. Single file, mind your own business grooves instead of causing any significant trouble. That will be a trend all night long, and we're beginning to see it already. Drivers are going to be very calm and collected when it comes to their strategy. That's the expectation on the night, more than anything else. And Ethan Lane right now only finding one driver to pressure him in Hunter Matielenis. Hunter right now, of course, only in his 2nd ever race, and yet he's showing pace of a veteran, and maybe one of the best veterans at that. Ethan Lane, no slouch at these road courses, and one of the best outright with the Xfinity car on iRacing. Of course, qualified and was eligible for the NASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series last winter. Unfortunately, he was not picked up and signed by a team, and by that virtue, he's come back at a full-time capacity here in Integrity. I tell you this much. First off, these drivers do a wonderful job of keeping them honest, and additionally, Ethan Lane proves he's the class of the field, although Hunter right now is staying right up there, and he's taking good notes in 2nd. Blake Cannon and Braxton Deweese, Scott Eckridge as well, all of which going to be coming together. Tethered, see Deweese 5th, Eckridge 6th, Thomas Bressi is in 7th, and 8th place will be Nick Tarbuck now. He's the highest running driver of the DIR crew. Well, actually, the 2nd highest. Braxton Deweese has gotten a little bit further ahead, but Domination Intimidation Racing sees 2 guys in their top 10 now. It's number 1 who finds himself back to 5th now, and you'll have Nick Tarbuck who scored in 8th. So Rob Ackley's 14th place as it stands. Michael Stroll, however, has fallen back significantly. You might notice Michael's now in 25th, right with his teammate, the 25 of Chad Mikus. Chad is up 4 on the day to get to 24th. We opened up our road courses last season at the Sonoma Raceway, at which track Chad Mikus was able to come away with his first ever twisty and turny top 5. Looks like tonight, at least in the early going, could be quite the opposite result. Mikus having some early struggles here. It looks like while, of course, the night is far from over, he's got a long way to dig out of, starting in 28th. Even if he fell back to this point like Michael Stroll did from 11th down, he would still have a long way to go to climb back up. But he's coming through from the back of the field all the way. He's going to need some very well put together strategy to make that work. While it's not impossible, already he finds himself from the back end in terms of the strategy, in terms of pit road stall selection. He's at a big disadvantage, and that disadvantageous position will make things especially hard for a driver, even when they are well expertise. And they have that well expertise at a road course or any other track. Micus is playing the back foot, but it doesn't mean his day is over. Watch out for him to try to get up inside at least the top 20 as the day goes on. Hunter Matulanis remains about a quarter of a second off of Ethan Lane right now. Ethan keeping that lead in the Ford Mustang, number 6. But right now, he's got another blue oval who's looking to take P1 by Ethan Lane here. Of course, backing off would not be an option, but you got to consider your options wisely here. Defense up to the top of oval number 1, and they'll go through the first set of turns before they make their way to the back straightaway chicane. Ethan this time around, of course, getting to control and dictate the pace. At the Circuit of the Americas, it was Scott Eckridge who held control. Looks like he's stronger maybe with those next-gens than he is the Xfinity car. Scott right now is inside the top 10, running 6th and trying to get inside the top 5. Number 70 of Eckridge right now, getting closer to Braxton. Hasn't quite shown any signs of really going out there and making that pass. I'll tell you this much, he has gotten close to that number 1. Eckridge led every inch of a flag-to-flag performance at the virtual Circuit of the Americas 2 weeks ago. It was Scott's first ever Integrity Racing League win in this modern era, and now he's on a 2 consecutive win streak on Tuesday nights. Looking to keep the good times rolling with another top 5 here tonight. Scott could be a dark horse for a podium finish. See a lot of drivers on the other side of the wall bundled up alongside each other in small 2-car packs. Nothing more, nothing less. Adam Wood right now is running 47th in the Steel Horse Racing Chevrolet. Right behind him, he's got a little bit of competition. Daniel Foss in the Caterpillar machine. And just ahead, you'll have Joe Dinsmore, who's running with Cal Filarski. Here's Gavin Fitzgerald, another rookie. He's been on the way down, though, from 16th down to 44th. Not the best of days for Gavin, but that's just a brief look at the back of the field, and we'll, of course, focus our eyes again up front. Lane Matulanis, positions 1 and 2 so far, 7 laps in out of 46. Ethan holds control in this opening quarter. 46 laps of racing. Let's talk a little bit more about the strategy that we're anticipating to see all night long. Most likely the strategy is going to come down to one pit stop here, and that's not much a surprise when there's so little time on the table. Even 46 laps is not a lot of racing time at the Charlotte Roval. We're going to put it into perspective here, thinking about the Charlotte Roval and its NASCAR Cup Series appearances. We've seen the track many a time before, and it's usually the Bank of America Roval 400, which is a 109-lap race in its current iteration. We're only at it tonight for some 46, so we're coming in at maybe 40% of the racing action. Not a lot of time in comparison to the Cup Series. So that's why we say not a lot of racing time to get a strategy call in. One pit stop sounds fair because one pit stop is necessary. Everything else would be either dependent on damage or it would come down to a driver's choice. But we don't expect them to go down more than they need to because it's not like an oval where you can quickly and simply get back on cycle just by waiting it out. These road courses take a lot of time from you, and while you might not fall off the lead lap, you're certainly going to fall out of contention if you're out of that line. Michael Araya right now going to be running comfortably in 8th. Hasn't ruffled any feathers, hasn't really battled for anything so far tonight, and yet he's right here as we see him. And that's SimSpeed Shop number 44, defending Octane Series champ, although it looks like he's focused his efforts instead on chasing the Monday night title this season. Laraya finds himself running in 8th. Nick Tarbuck 8th to 7th here. Up one spot on the day, as is Michael Araya. It looks like both of them finding themselves in very similar predicaments. Eckridge has gotten by that Tarbuck machine, but he's also down 2 positions. He's 4th to 6th, and it looks like Thomas Bresci was able to take one. Thomas getting up to the top 5 for the first time tonight, and the JTM driver is also racing for a new team this week. Let's talk about what's going on. It's something we do every season. We bring these special competitions and challenges to the field, and it looks like once again tonight, that's exactly what's going on. This is our bracket battle, or as we call it now, the Pool Challenge for 2025. Our first of the season begins this week, and here's how it works out. There are 8 teams assigned with 4 drivers. So, we have 32 guys eligible. The top 3 finishes for each team will have their points counted for their assigned team, and the highest team point total after 5 races collects a prize from Next Level Racing. It's a 5-week challenge, and right now, well, Thomas Bresci has the dream team, while Hunter Matulenis has taken the race lead in the 0-7. It's Bresci, Ethan Lane, Michael Araya, and Brandon Bernhardt. And remember, 3 drivers, their top 3 finishes count. So while Bernhardt right now is in 50th place, the rest of his team is running currently 2nd place, 5th place in Thomas Bresci, and 8th place in Michael Araya. Talk about an elite squad of drivers. Blake Cannon has Sam Nieto, Kyle Cooper, Boomer Logan. Michael Stroll has Paul Mikolajczyk, Justin Morton, Josh Gallagher. There's no other team, if you go through all 8 of them, that is even close to the stacked level that Ethan Lane and his guys are. And right now, they're already up and away, and they will lead the challenge this week if they stay where they are. However, again, Ethan Lane is not the race leader as you come across the line. Here's a replay that goes back to the lap of the pass. If you want to see what happened, Hunter Matulenis was setting up the shot, and it took him the better part of 9 laps. At the end of lap 9, he was able to get it done, and here's how. Rewind with your rookie who now leads the way. Hunter in the 0-7 is to the point, and here's how he did it. Only 2 drivers at the front of the field. However, now Hunter even has a 2.5-second+ lead. Waiting on Ethan Lane. Going right into Oval 1. Lane facing that pressure. You can see here, Ethan Lane's back end was filled, and he was shot up the track ever so slightly. Had to slow down. Both drivers did. But then they came toward the back straightaway. And here's where that back straight chicane plays handy. One of the best passing opportunities for any driver. Matulenis waits. Ethan Lane dives in, and dives in far too deep. That gives Hunter the race lead. Lane falls back to P2. So now, Hunter is all alone. Ethan is in 2nd, and it looks like he's lost about a 1.5 seconds+. All the while, Matthew Thunhorse now in that number 8 is gaining time. And talk about a great run so far from Matthew Thunhorse. He's leading his teammates in the JTM crew, which, of course, by all means is high praise. It's a stacked group of drivers with exceptional talent, especially for these road courses. Right now, if we're talking about the teams in terms of actual driver alliances, JTM is on top. Matthew Thunhorse is in 3rd. Thomas Bresci again is in 5th. And Justin Morton is in 10th. Undisputably, JTM has the history of road course racing no other team can match. Maybe the only other historical comparison would be Domination Intimidation Racing, with Rob Ackley being a strong guy on the outside fringes, but we talk about him being on the outside tonight, and that he is in 13th. Braxton Deweese has gone back now to 15th, as Nicholas Ward has gotten ahead of him in the number 97. So, even though, yes, someone like, say for instance, Ackley is showing great pace at tracks like Watkins Glen, JTM has been the most consistent, and while they're not up there winning this race yet tonight, They are in the thick of the battles. Scott Eckrich around the outside of Thomas Bressi, though. That is a slick move for 5th. Not easy. He had the wrong turn, shall we say, on the way in. He took the outer line rather than the optimal apex, and even still, Eckrich was faster on the way out. A very impressive run through. Eckrich to 5th. Bressi to 6th. Nick Tarbuck now watching, and he might just take the next spot. And notably now, Ethan Lane clawing back at that race lead. Gap is only 1.2 once again. Impressive stuff, though, from another rookie who's proving they have what it takes. That, of course, Hunter Matulenis. Hunter right now in that 0-7 is catching up to lap traffic for the first time tonight. Here goes the 0-7 to the inside on Daniel Foss. Daniel is 47th as it stands. He just got put one lap down on pace here. Coming up is Ethan Lane, who's looking to do one more. Lane's got to make it through quickly, as you can see riding off the back end of the 38 there briefly. Now Ethan gets away, but the gap has shifted. As a matter of fact, it's growing in the favor of Hunter as he gets by now Adam Wood. Lap drivers are going to play a pivotal role in the rest of this race, and you're already starting to see it. Hunter here in this 0-7 knows what it means to get up in front and take advantage of that situation. Looks like that's what we're seeing right now. Trying to find ways to make these passes and stick positions. Using lappers as gappers, gap drivers in between the leading guys is going to help out exponentially more so for your leader than anyone else. Coming up on Daco Parka in the number 10. With some front end damage, might be a little bit harder now to traverse around that number 10 car. But Hunter having a plan, goes to the outside for the penultimate infield corner, and now gets through to the next driver, Cal Filarski. Thomas Bressi, P6 right now, facing a little bit more pressure from Nick Tarbuck. And Tom Wetmore is in 9th here. He is still just ahead of the JTM Justin Morton car here, 13th to 10th, up 3 spots on the day. While Morton's gotten up inside the top 10, it looks like Wetmore has been able to hold him back. Wetmore is, by all accounts, one of the more consistent drivers, especially in the Octane series historically, but well known as a road course ringer. We'll see now what Morton can do as we take a ride on board with the number 9. Justin Morton still waiting and watching. Last time by, running a 124.469. Wetmore just ahead of him, ran a 124.507, so slightly slower. It does look like Tom Wetmore has the disadvantage in this battle, at least in terms of pace. Half a second, or rather even half a tenth, won't do you much. That's why Justin Morton knows before he makes a big move, he'll have to force a mistake more than relying just on that pure pace. Gap between leader Matulenis and Lane is about a 7/10 of a second gap now as they make their way through into the final corner. And you can see Ethan is gaining with draft that time by. These drivers have practically unrestricted cars through the oval corners, which makes for some very exciting racing to the line. Lane, once again, smacking the right side. He's using it a little bit too hard, I think, because if that gives way to suspension damage, it's game over for the number 6. At the line again, he's second. Hunter Matulenis is your leader. Hunter still controls this one. And now he's coming up on the 95 of Joe Dinsmore. All the while, Matthew Thunhorst finds himself third. Scott Eckridge has gotten up into 4th place, getting ahead now of Blake Cannon as he gets up to another lapper. Cannon is going to find these lappers moving back and forth, staying just on the outside now, as Scott makes his way through, cutting up to now being 1 spot behind the podium. Matthew Thunderhorse is about 6 seconds ahead of where Eckridge is here. Keep that in mind. So I don't think Scott's going to be necessarily looking for P3, but undeniably he's made good of his own racing action so far tonight. It looks like he's just got to continue what he's done, and he'll have himself a very successful performance. Scott in the 70, Blake in the 27, Gressy in the 24. It looks like Gressy now back down to P6. And Cannon up to P5. Eckridge for 4th, where he started now. Gap is less than a second through and through this time by for Hunter Matilenis. At the line, it's a 0.7 second gap, give or take. Ethan Lane that time by ran a 123.068. It was a 123.107 for the man ahead of him. So once again, about 4/100ths of a second faster. Those are nearly identical laps, nearly identical times. Gap is so minuscule between these two drivers that, again, even being slightly faster for one lap for the next would not matter when they're both that quick, lap in, lap out. Hunter is showing no signs of backing off or his tires degrading. It looks like right now he too is comfortable with pushing the limits as we come close to the halfway mark in tonight's race. Hunter Matilenis leading into that final back straightaway chicane and making it toward the front stretch final. Ronnie Osmer right now, he'll be running 17th. Interesting to note, that number 55 is having a very strong open to his Integrity Racing League career. Let's talk about right now your championships, whether it is, of course, top 5 overall or for Rookie of the Year honors. Ronnie Osmer right now is coming in 4th in the Rookie of the Year campaign. He has himself 2 fewer points than leader Jared Davis. Tonight, Davis, as you might have noticed, well, don't quite see him on the circuit, at least up in front. You'd have to look back to 28th place to find Jared. He right now is going to be running alone in that 28th spot, but it looks like Ronnie Osmer is one of those guys who might be able to gain some spots on him. Jack Drucker is 2nd in the Rookie of the Year standings and 5th overall in the championship points. Jared Davis, of course, is 1st in the Rookie of the Year standings and 4th overall in the championship. 3rd place right now is going to be, overall, Michael Stroll with 145 points to his name. He's been remarkably consistent, and that's what's kept him up here as he bangs the outside wall with DJ Stagner following him. 2nd overall, however, keep this in mind, it's going to be the number 24 of Thomas Bressi. Bressi finds himself right up there with Blake Cannon battling for the championship standings. Coming into this race, Bressi was leading by 2 points, 180 to Cannon's 178. Right now, based on live performance, Cannon would take the championship lead as he stays just ahead of Thomas Bressi. It's a real close call right now for Cannon. If he can make one spot here on someone like Scott Eckridge, he would have that championship lead by a multi-point buffer. Currently, though, Thomas Bressi finds himself just behind and keeps it at a minimum. 2-point advantage coming in for Bressi tonight. Finish like a spot or 2 ahead of him, he would have a guarantee of extending that further. No yellow flags on the table tonight. Consistency always rewarded at these road courses. We have seen cautions before. Matter of fact, we've seen as many as 10 yellow flag laps, or shall we say 3 back-to-back yellow flag incidents. The Monza race we had last summer, 2 summers back now, 2023. Last time we went there, it was a long time back, nearly 2 years ago now. It came down to strategy. Justin Morton decided not to go down a pit road at all. That's why he won, and that is how he won. By virtue of staying out on the track, up and ahead of everyone else, and just waiting it all out, Morton was able to get the job done, and he finished the day P1. It was his first ever victory at that point, and while it wasn't all too expected, it came down just to understanding alternate strategy, and that's something this JTM driver did well. No pit stops over the course of a 30-lap caution-filled event, and those cautions were all he needed. Hunter Matulanis leading now by 2.5 seconds, 20 laps in. You'll then have Ethan Lane P2, Matthew Thunhorse third, and Scott Eckridge is in fourth. Blake Cannon right now mired alongside all those who are lappers, and that's what you're starting to see with the timing and scoring. He's now going to be 13 seconds back, with some drivers like Tom Wetmore still actively making it through. Just got by Don Stevenson. Wetmore's 25 seconds back on leader Matulanis. And it looks like that's the way things have been all throughout. The leader getting away, and everyone else has been slowly but surely losing time. And notably, Hunter has only picked up the pace. That time by running a 1:22.903. All the while was a 1:23.719 from Ethan Lane. The Lane just about 0.8 of a second slower last time by than leader Matulanis. Hunter is making gains and getting away from everyone else. And it looks like Ethan, as a result, decides to head down and in. Pit road busy now for the number 6. Ethan Lane, one of the early entries, 21 laps in out of 46 here. So he's going to hedge his bets on an early call through. Very few drivers have made it in. Jack Drucker just made it on the way. Thomas Bressi decides to stay out, and interestingly, the undercut is in play for the 6th crew of Ethan Lane. Leader Hunter Matulanis remains on the circuit, of course, and we haven't seen the other leaders make their way in. We'll watch out now with our timing and scoring and see who decides to go through immediately after. Bressi smack in the middle of the fight that now sees Michael Araya and Nick Tarbuck upon each other. Michael making some time on Nick here, and the gap between these two is the closest it's been all 21 laps. Although Michael Araya found himself starting in 9th tonight and has only made it up to 8th, he was far out of this picture, including Bressi and Nick Tarbuck. For the past 15 laps, of course, he was completely outside. And now it looks like all of a sudden, well, it's quite the opposite. He's only slowly but surely moving further up and into the battle you're witnessing here. And it looks like, for Michael Araya's sake, he is continuing to improve. Number 29 of Nick Tarbuck finding himself right now with that Chevrolet Camaro exactly where he needs to be, of course, top 10 and still in the fight for the top 5. But Michael Araya has gotten quicker and quicker each time through. Last time by was a 1:23.9 versus a 1:23.8. Araya faster by a 10th. This time through, 1:23.886 versus a 1:23.768. This time around, of course, it was actually Nick Tarbuck who was faster. So he's going to take that 1/10 of a second he lost, flip it back, and gain a 1/10 of a second. Call it even over the course of 2 laps, although I do think Michael Araya is still gaining, especially into this opening sector, where he is more, shall we say, opportunistic into the first few infield roval corners. Using that inside curbing and pushing deep, you can see him get closer and closer, and the gap becomes less than 2 car lengths at its very, very shortest. And that's where the difference lies between someone, say for instance, like Michael Araya, or maybe someone like Nick Tarbuck here. Nick is not aggressing the situation, not making aggressive moves in this situation against Thomas Bressi, just letting it come to him, and it looks like slowly but surely it has. But Michael Araya is really pushing toward Nick Tarbuck, and maybe that's what's causing Nick to push toward Thomas Bressi. And so the cycle will continue. Bressi doesn't seem to have any signs of real performance decay. Last few laps, he's been remarkably consistent too. All 3 drivers running in the high 1:23 range. 1:23.98 there from Thomas Bressi. Nick Tarbuck, it was a 1:24.17, 1:24.109 for Michael Araya. So yes, Bressi still looks to be in control of his own destiny here in regards to the battle just behind him. 23 laps in out of 46, leader Matulanis is on a roll. The only guys he's been competing against all night long have been lappers. Here comes now the 50 up top, Blake Ziti. Blake lets him by. Blake Gordon goes in his place. And so the Blakes come together, and now Gordon is ahead of Ziti. Even still, Hunter passing both on this lap. Vinny Tigner, who tonight has struggled ever so slightly more than he would like at a road course. He's 31st as it stands, and he's going to be coming down and in. Hunter now, after 23 laps, is going to make it toward your halfway point, and it's been a fast half here in the Integrity Racing League. Road courses with no cautions bring full strategy calls. 23 laps to go, this time by. Coming to 22 laps remaining next time through, we're going to crank it up for about a lap or two. It's a long circuit, so we're not going to spend all too much time, but we will give our dues and go unfiltered and unrestricted as we go with Whiplash Sim Cams, iRacing's best camera solution with no licensing fees necessary. Individual cars and tracks are priced at $5 per package, and there's no place better to start your broadcasting career than with the sim racing advice of all the great drivers, broadcasters, and of course development team at Whiplash Sim Cams. Their Discord server is free to any iRacing user, and cameras, they have some on display for free if you'd like to try out their stuff before committing to it full on. Visit Whiplash Sim Cams at their social media links all throughout, of course, on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook, or on their Discord server to find out more about how you can join iRacing's newest legion of next-level camera packages. Hunter Matulanis comes in this time by, and so as he does so at the halfway marker, he's hit the magic number. Expect pit road now to become busier and busier as we see 22 laps to go. You're watching live on FTN coverage of the Charlotte Roval Grand Prix, and we'll return right after we go live and unfiltered and crank it up here in Charlotte. Ethan Lane, with 20 laps remaining, is back in front. Strategy overall, we've seen the full pit cycle, and now we're getting ourselves locked in for the end of tonight's event. That's right, we're already coming toward that point of no return. You'll see the entirety of the top 10 has already gone in. Ethan Lane is that big outlier because he went in at lap 21. Everyone else went in at about lap 25, lap 26, give or take. Paul Mikolajczyk looks to be one of those mere exceptions as he finds himself right now running just outside the top 10 and doing so without having gone to pit road in his now 27-lap run. He's expected to be one of the many who comes in before lap 30, as it looks like it's practically impossible to hang on any longer than about 35 laps. So it doesn't make too much sense to hang on now that everyone else seems to be on new rubber. And that's why Ethan Lane, who finds himself up and in front on old rubber, went in early rather than waiting it out. He was slower while waiting it out to begin with, so he decides to take this undercut. That's what's going to put him back to the front of the field. But watch out, because now the next driver behind him is the number 07. That's Hunter Matulanis, and that means that the rookie who's looking for his first career win is again right behind Ethan Lane. And there's nothing more that Ethan can do but start looking back and start planning how to react, because Hunter is fast. He's been fast, and he's already closing in. And this is the downside of the undercut. Now that everyone's coming back together, Ethan Lane has to deal with the fact that he is, simply put, slower. And that's not something that changes unless there's a big mistake on the Matulanis side or from everyone else. He's got older rubber that's been burnt through more, and that puts him at a disadvantage no matter what. Of course, Ethan Lane, if there's any driver who is best equipped to deal with these situations, it would have to be him based on the experience. But the 14-time winner last year has still not found a way to victory lane, and he's found ways to finish second in just about every one of his starts. And perhaps that's the worst thing. He's been a strong driver, yes, but he has not been able to finish the job in terms of getting those crucial moments to line up right so far this year. Those checkered flag moments. He's led laps today, hasn't led the most laps of everyone. Hunter able to take that from lap 9 onward to his pit stop entry to lap 25. But Ethan Lane now needs to figure out what it takes to lead the last lap, because that's the one that makes the big difference tonight. And I think he knows it now that Matulanis is getting closer and closer. Lane has to navigate through the lap traffic. Second place Hunter here is watching him carve it all up and coming through with. Notably, Scott Eckridge has gotten up into third place, and this would be his first ever Ignite Series podium. The number 70 of Eckridge has gotten quicker and quicker and notably more impressive in each race we've seen him. Able to get his first ever oval victory in the racing league, of course, the Integrity Racing League, last week at Phoenix, something perhaps we didn't expect, and it was his first ever Oval Octane Series win. Still hasn't gotten it done in the Monday night front, but tonight would be his career best finish, coming in as a third place run. He's 3 seconds up right now on Matthew Thunderhorst, and it looks like he's going to be able to keep that spot so long as he just plays things calm and collected here, all while the top two begin to go to war with one another again. This could be the pass for the race win if Hunter Matulanis plays his cards right. Once again, the penultimate corner of the Roval section. Back to the oval. Tries to go for the dive deep. This time around, Ethan Lane counters him quickly. And Hunter again is just back. Hunter, instead of lunging into that backstretch chicane, lets Lane lead. Lane makes the same mistake. This time, however, Hunter has to go and cross over to the inside. They're side by side through turn 3. Hunter Matulanis, waiting for Lane to dive too far to the backstretch chicane, gets his moment, and he gets his lead. Hunter to the point, as we now have 16 laps remaining. Matulanis with perhaps the move for the win. Ethan Lane can't even give it a rebuttal. And soaring into turn 1, big contact for the number 6. Ethan Lane in trouble. He's been banging that right door off all night long. That was the hardest hit he's taken. And now he's struggling to keep up with Casey's shoe through the opening turns of the infield sector. Mind you, Casey is in 27th here. Just ran a 1:29. Ethan Lane with a huge error there, coming into turn 1 and smacking the wall, and that outright will end his chances to lead this one. Now already 2.5 seconds back, when at this time a lap ago he held a 4/10 of a second lead. It's going to be a long road to recovery for that number 6 car, if there even is one. I'd be surprised if he hangs on to second here, unless he's able to straighten out the troubles, but he's already lost 3 seconds, not only to Matthew Lennis, your leader, but Scott Eckridge, who's right now in third. Scott has an opportunity in that number 70, maybe, to take P2. He has to dig for 5 seconds of time on track, and he has about 16 laps to get them. By all accounts, the odds are in his favor. Now make it 15 as he just crossed the line. Even still, I think he's got the time. Brian McFerrin is going to go wide there, just letting the number 70 go by, no troubles. Nicholas Ward got by very recently, it appears, on Jacob Fife in the number 36. These drivers have been battling against each other for the ups and downs in the mid-top 10. It looks like, however, Jacob Fife now going to be outside of the top 10 in 13th. Tom Wetmore has gotten himself up. According to timing and scoring here, you can see him hanging fourth in 10th place. It'll be Wetmore officially in 9th, that time by Justin Morton, P9 at the line. And you can see right here, Justin with his teammates and Thomas Bresci and Matthew Thunhorst all still coming together. And they're doing a great job. JTM triple top 10. And Thomas Bresci right now is 6th. And he's right behind Blake Cannon. Ethan Lane disconnecting for the night, by the way. And that means that, yes, Eckridge is up inside the podium. And moreover, he's running in 2nd. So Ethan Lane will call it a day. And that's going to give Matthew Thunhorst 3rd place. So JTM now with an opportunity for what could be double top 5s. Thunhorst is in 3rd, and across the line it'll become official, but Thomas Bresci now runs in 5th. They'll pass by Cole DeRogers in the 23. DeRogers started tonight in 53rd. He's up 8 places and is limping into turn 1, but it doesn't look like he has much damage. So by all accounts, it's been an up-and-up day for the DeRogers crew. 5 laps down, yes, but 8 spots up. That, by all accounts, is a net positive day for your last-place qualifier. And yes, Thomas Bresci, the number 24, now inside the top 5, which means 2 of those teammates are together again in the top 5 category. And one of them is on the podium in Matthew Thunhorst. Scott Eckridge is looking for a podium finish. 2nd place, it looks like, is what he's got in store. While maybe not the race-winning guy we're seeing on Tuesday nights, Eckridge again is on the up and up, and he's showing that he can be a threat on Mondays and Tuesday nights with a great performance here. What we'd love to see, of course, is maybe a fight for the race lead. That could be due to come in the future here for Eckridge, who is still building up that notebook. It's interesting now that we got rookies running 1st and 2nd, and both of which have pulled away from the old veterans who have continuously dominated these sorts of road races. As a matter of fact, Matthew Lennis, Eckridge, and Blake Cannon are all full-time rookies of the Integrity Ignite series, and while Cannon does have about 5 starts to speak of in his catalog of previous notes, he didn't have all too many coming into 2025. And if those three drivers weren't here, it would be again JTM first and second, and that's Matthew Thunhorst and Thomas Bressi, the highest positioned veterans, as in drivers who have previously run a full-time Indy Ignite series. So, it looks like those guys have not changed. It's just the rest of the field has caught up and brought themselves up to the old weapons. I think that's something especially exciting to see, even if you are a Thunhorst or a Thomas Bressi. Competition ever increasing, and that's what keeps things exciting. Hunter Matulanis to the inside now. That's on Joe Dinsmore, and Dinsmore lets him by. DJ Stagner now, one of the final drivers to be off the lead lap. And he just got put off the lead lap in 22nd, meaning only 21 of your 53 drivers are on the lead lap. The last of which is Rob Ackley right now in the number 21 spot. Number 22 anyway is doing a great job of staying on the lead lap. He's got a few seconds of buffer, but with the way Hunter's been charging, he could be next. We could see less than 20 drivers on the lead lap by the time we get to the end of this race. And with 12 laps to go, the pace is still in the favor of Hunter over anyone else. These lappers, I don't think they are concerned necessarily. They might have to look back if they want to stay on the lead lap. Rob Ackley right now is ahead of his now one lap down teammate in Michael Stroll. Michael finding himself 23rd. He fell back to as low as about 26th early on. He's gained about 3 spots since, but from 11th of the qualifying grid, that's down 12 from starting just outside the top 10. And furthermore, you got Chad Mikas to think of, and Chad tonight, the number 25, having some troubles qualifying in 28th, and it looks like even still has not been the best of nights either for that Mikas team. Mikas is 3 laps down and just disconnected from the session. Now it looks like the racing pace car, one of the few guys on pit road, as another driver disconnects. So Mikas a retiree. Michael Stroll falling down the ladder, down 12. Looks like Rob Ackley now going to be a team leader, if not for Braxton DeWeese, who's still hanging on for 14th, although he has also fallen 9 on the day. Well, it's been a day of going up and up for the JTM Motorsports crew. Domination Intimidation Racing, one of those other major operations that hasn't seen the best of performances tonight. Michael Arias, 44, is catching up now to Bressi and Cannon. Take a ride on board with your Octane Series champion of 2024. Let's see what's going on for this minute as we take a look inside. Michael Araya behind the battle for the top 5. If he can only get a few more seconds on him, on Thomas Bressi anyway, we might see a real joust for that last position. Blake Hannon still looks comfortable in 4th, but Thomas Bressi could have a toss-up on his hands. So far, though, it still looks like Cannon hasn't gotten there. Tom Wetmore, 12th to 8th, up 4 on the day. On that first run, he got up to 10th. And by virtue of some good strategy and Ethan Lane retiring, it looks like he's gotten 2 more positions in the second leg of this race. Don Stevenson, 10th to 9th. A former winner at this track in the Octane Series, proving his worth once again. number 47, while quiet, has been comfortably inside the single digits now for the entirety of his second stint. With Ethan Lane retiring as well, he has a few seconds to work off of Justin Morton. It looks like the gap between those two drivers is some 4 seconds, and on this track, that's almost an eternity. You can see while Morton makes his way through the chicane, Stevenson goes toward oval turn 4. Cole DeRozier side by side up and ahead there with Josh Christman. Both drivers off the lead lap. Lap machines are going to be abundant as they have been all night long. 31st place for Christman, and then up ahead Cole DeRozier, who is now up to P40. He's up 5 spots from where we checked on him last. He's up 13 places off the day. And talk about an up and up day for this 23 team. I'll tell you this much, starting last makes it, of course, much more challenging. But to get the 40th place from 53rd at this road course, even though we haven't seen the best of pace so far from DeRozier's in terms of going out there and winning races, this is a day where it could have been a lot worse for the 23. And he's turned gains on the night where, well, he's been out of the loop. He certainly hasn't been out of effort. And the definition of not for a lack of trying, Cole DeRozier's keeping himself up there. Jacob Fife right now running exactly P12. About a minute off of your race leader, Hunter Matulanis. And he is a full 60+ seconds behind. Threshold for staying inside the lead lap is approximately 85 seconds today. The last driver on the lead lap now is Cody Smith in 19th, and he's about 78 seconds off of your leader. He should be able to comfortably hang on for at least a few more laps, but no guarantees at the end. Will Riker, the number 67, also going to disconnect. Riker coming out from 47th on the timing sheets. It looks like he's going to stay there for the rest of the night. There's no other drivers from the bottom up to pass him. And Cody Smith in this Next Level Racing Chevrolet, representing our premier partners well. Cody Smith and Next Level Racing have been together now as a paint scheme partnership ever since the beginning of 2023, and the first ever Integrity Octane Series winner continues a tradition of success. And Next Level Racing does as well. We would like to thank both of our sponsors, of course, in SimMotion, who have come on for this year, and our veteran supporter in Next Level Racing for bringing the action to you and making everything possible. And we'd like to talk about them right now and give you a sense of the great discounts they have for all our viewers. At nextlevelracing.com, use promo code INTEGRITY24 for 5% off at checkout. Next Level Racing provides high-quality sim racing performance products for dedicated sim racers who deserve nothing but the best. Visit nextlevelracing.com to learn more about their offering of products for all your sim racing needs. The best of the best with partnerships with illustrious brands such as Ferrari. And then you check out our brand new friends at SimMotion, who will help us out. They are a dedicated sim racing vendor who have stepped up to the task to support the Integrity Race League and all the action we bring to you live on FTN. Visit their website today at us.sim-motion.com and use promo code INTEGRITY for 5% off at checkout. Thank you both to SimMotion and Next Level Racing for your continued support and effort in bringing the action tonight to you. You're watching the Integrity Ignite Series in the Charlotte Roval Grand Prix, the Tar Heel 107 with 6 laps to go. And Hunter Matulanis is still your race leader, and he is firmly in control for what could be his first career win. Thomas Brussi now coming closer up to Blake Cannon, and you can see putting that chrome horn into turn 1. Cannon might have to be looking back now. That was as close as it gets. And Michael Araya, noticing it's getting a little bit more aggressive just ahead, well, it looks like he too will have to take some notice and try to get in the fight. Blake Cannon no longer an independent driver. Keep that in mind. He's got the Tube Tech branding, much like Tom Wetmore, and he's now a member of the Roadhouse Racing Brigade, number 27, bringing success to his new team last week for the first time under the Roadhouse banner, winning. And it looks like tonight, while it won't be a victory, it will still be fourth place. And right now, that's if he can just hang on, because not only is he battling with Thomas Bressi right now for the fourth spot, he's fighting for the championship lead. These two drivers come in only 2 points apart from one another in the championship race, and as such, they are exactly alongside each other again. They're practically dead even, however you slice it in the championship. And if they're going to finish within a spot of each other, that's going to stay the exact same way. Five laps to go, coming to 4 next time by. Hunter Matulenis is all the way up and ahead, and he's got nobody else to deal with now. He's in clean air, he's in good spirits, and he just has to hang on for 4 more circuits to come away for the very first time in his career as an Integrity Ignite Series winner. Cody Smith, as we mentioned, we said he could hang on for a few more laps, but we didn't quite know whether or not he'd be able to stick it for the rest of this race. He's getting closer and closer to being put 1 lap down, and unfortunately it looks like right now that number 18, he's going to lose it very soon if he can't pick up the pace. 4 to go this time by. Watching again, Thomas Bressi and company battle to stay inside the top 5. Bressi still has that final spot. Blake Cannon is still the first man on the outside looking in. And you've got 4th place, Blake Cannon, the Roadhouse Racing Machine, leading his team tonight to what would be a double top 10. So while JTM looks for the triple top 10, they might be denied. Justin Morton right now on the bubble in P10, still fighting for it. It looks like a double top 10 in order for the 69 of Wetmore and the 27 of Blake Cannon. Cannon has been the top dog overall this season when it comes to victories. Thomas Bressi has kept him real close in terms of that consistency. And they're neck and neck again. And for the first time, they're really at a crossroads, having to fight each other in the going gets tough stage of a race. Crunch time here, and next time by is 3 to go. We're only 5 races into what will be a 20-race regular season. And we've got those final races, the final 10 weeks, that make all the difference. So far, it's been only a gap of 2 points between your top 2 drivers. Over hundreds of miles and different types of circuits. We've seen super speedways, speedways, a tricky triangle, an intermediate, and a roval. Not to mention, of course, the fact that we had to qualify drivers in to make it into that first event. We've seen more than 50 throughout the entire season. It's been a stacked campaign in terms of that talent level, and so for that gap to only be 2 points for the regular season championship lead is unbelievable. And who else but these 2 drivers and Cannon and Bressi, a perpetual contender, and Blake Cannon, the leading driver in terms of victories so far this season. Further back, looks like the battles have really simmered down. Tyler Hensley finding himself away now from Matt Press. He's gotten ahead of Press last time by. He was behind for 16th place. Now he's in 15th as Matt Press blocks the 07 of Matulenis. This will leave us with 15 on the lead lap in a run under green, no less. Tyler Hensley is now your last man on the lead lap in the number 5. And he will lead leader Matulenis to 2 laps to go as he comes across the stripe. Scott Eckridge right now scored in second, 6 seconds back, comfortably there. Still watching the battle to stay inside the top 5 here. Blake Cannon closer and closer now. To his back end comes Thomas Bressi, but it's a harder spot to go and pass. That, of course, is your front stretch chicane. Can't really make any aggressive moves until the exit of it. Here comes Thomas Bressi. Bressi to the inside, pressuring Cannon. Here comes Michael Araya, looking to make it a 2-for-1. He can't get there. Bressi for P4. Cannon now in 5th. But to the outside goes Thomas Bressi, only for a false merge from the 27. This gives Michael Araya a ray of hope. He looked quicker through that opening sector than Cannon, and Blake now is smack in the middle of the fight as Bressy's gotten himself up for P4. 3rd and 4th place it would be now for Thomas Bressi, but Bressi makes a major mistake, falls right out of line. He's in 6th. We didn't even catch it there. That's how quick it happened. Take a look at this opening sector one more time, and the lead up to this incident, well, it shows you Bressi just makes a mistake, cuts wide. That gives Cannon and Laraya the go-ahead to get ahead. Cannon is now going to be 4th, Laraya 5th. Huge mistake from Thomas Bressi. And that jeopardizes a top 5 that was nearly guaranteed. We're going to flip back to your leaders. Matt Tilenes takes the white flag. Bressi goes wide. 6th place. That's where he lies now. All the while, Blake Cannon has gotten himself ahead of Laraya as these two come across the line. And Thomas Bressi, talk about a mistake when it matters. Anyhow, Hunter Matulanis leads the way. And now he's got himself a half lap to go to finish the job. Hunter, in his only 2nd career start, and first ever in a road course no less, has been dominant. And once again, it takes a new driver beating the old guard in Ethan Lane to show who's got road course prowess for 2025. And tonight, this 07 team came, saw, and conquered. Perhaps the most unexpected win so far in a season already full of surprises. Across the line from America's home for racing, Hunter Matulanis wins the Tar Heel 107, our first road race of the season. Welcome to Integrity Racing League Victory Lane, Hunter. The checkered flag is yours. Scott Eckridge comes away in 2nd. Matthew Thunhorst concludes the podium. And Blake Cannon gets the better of Michael Araya in the end as Thomas Bressi has to settle for that P6 run by virtue of damage. Rather, by virtue of simply missing a corner. Hunter taking this cool down lap in stride. For the first time in his career, a winner. And a career best finish, of course, at that. He was strong last week and he was showing that sign that he had something in him. But now, looks like he's got himself the checkered flag at long last. Take a look on board now, just before the celebration begins. Coming toward the start-finish line and getting set to burn down the house. Take a listen to the celebration from the 07. At the line, Hunter Matulenis comes to a standstill. We'll hear from your race winner right after this. Here are your race results on the night. First and foremost, with 33 laps led, it's Hunter Matulenis with the race victory. Scott Eckrich then in second, and third place in Matthew Thunhorst with P4, Blake Cannon. Michael Araya rounds out the top five, with Thomas Bresci finishing sixth by virtue of that late race mishap, and seventh place in Nick Tarbuck. You'll then have Tom Wetmore in 8th and Don Stevenson 9th, with Justin Morton finishing in the 10th place. 11th place will go Nicholas Ward, with Braxton Deweese in 12th, Jacob Fife in 13th, Ronnie Osmer 14th place, and Tyler Hensley 15th, with Matt Press P16, Jared Davis 17th, and Cody Smith 18th. 19th place goes Rob Ackley, and DJ Stagner rounds out the top 20. You'll then have 21st, Casey Shue. 22nd, Michael Stroll. Jake Miller, 23rd, and Paul Mikolajczyk in 24th, with Sam Nieto, P25, Brent McClendon, 26th, Brian McFerrin, 27th, Kyle Cooper, 28th, Sebastian Miller, 29th, and Josh Christman in 29th. No longer. He got pushed back to 30th at the end of the race, 2 laps down. 31st goes Joe Dinsmore with Cal Filarski. 32nd, Elliot Henderson finishes P33 with Andrew Hamilton 34th. Josh Gallagher in 35th. Gavin Fitzgerald P36. Blake Zede goes 37th, and Blake Gordon goes 38th, with Jack Drucker then P39. Brandon Bernhardt in 40th place. Your final 13 drivers go as follows. You'll have 41st place, and that's going to be the driver tonight, inside of the number 21. That's Steve Durham. Then you'll have after Steve, 42nd in Cole DeRosiers, who got up to as high as 40th, couldn't finish there. Ethan Lane, 13 laps led, 43rd, he retired. Then you have 44th in Chad Mikas, 45th in Sean Carmody, 46th in Vinny Tigner, and 47th in Will Reichard, with Adam Wood 48th, Taco Parka 49th, Daniel Foss in P30. Of course, he fell back to P50, starting 40th on the day. Your last 3 drivers, Boomer Logan, Ryan Vaughn, and Ryan Potter. Those are the guys who, of course, came through and collected the checkered flag. Some of them didn't get there at the very end on their own power, but most of which did. And so we'll move on and hear from your race winner right up next. The driver that we're waiting for is the man who burst onto the scene last week and already found a way to victory lane so quick in his young rookie season. Hunter, the job is complete for that first career victory and a dominant performance no less. You qualified third and quickly swept up to the top, took it from Ethan Lane, and held control till the very end. How does it feel winning for the first time in your Ignite Series career?
It was great. A lot of competition out on the track. From starting third on the grid was, I thought, the best I was going to be able to get to, and then as the race progressed, it just seemed like I was able to hold on to the tires a lot better than other guys, and honestly, it took everything out of me to stay up front. Fighting with Ethan was ridiculous. He's extremely fast, and it was a tough challenge the whole race.
And you talk about that challenge early on between you and Ethan Lane, the pass for the win coming after the halfway marker where drivers went to pit road. So can you walk us through that opening strategy to try and beat him? Because it looks like your pit strategy call in particular was what got him over.
Yeah, I think it just, Ethan was set to his strategy to kind of win the race, and I wanted to go for as much points as I could, so I wanted to stay out and earn the stage win. So he came in early because he knew I was gonna run that long to finish the stage. So from earlier in the run, it was very difficult to pass. So I knew that's what he was probably planning on, was for it to be hard for me to pass, and then I burned my stuff up while sitting behind him. But the 3 to 4 lap difference we had on the tire, we were able to get the power down off the exit of the corner so much better than he was, and that allowed us on that backstretch chicane off of it to cross under him and take the lead back.
And of course, we mentioned that this is your first career, not only victory in this series, but also your first road course race here. And it was a stacked, packed house at that with 53 drivers. So how was it managing not only the high quantity of drivers, but the skill level here, even as you had to traverse through the lappers?
Yeah, from other series I've ran in, I've known that, road courses have been kind of a specialty of mine, and I've, gotten better at the ovals as it's went. But yeah, the trickiest part of that whole race was, navigating lap traffic, because, there's different guys running different paces, different guys on different tire strategies. So most of the race up front was also developed around, how well you could get around lap traffic, and, that seemed to be a thing I was able to do, and just hold off the guys that were hard charging behind.
So now, with a victory in your back pocket and some strong running in your early career, next week we go back to the Bluegrass State and some mile-and-a-half racing at the Kentucky Motor Speedway. How do you feel about your chances at doing it in a more traditional style of circuit?
Yeah, I'm hoping we can run up front like we did in Atlanta. We had that top 5 run pretty much the entire race there. Yeah, really just a top 5, top 10 if I can get away with it, just to get points and, uh, keep progressing. I know we have, I think it's the Glen, and we have Portland up still, so we're still gonna have 2 more chances at road courses. But from here on out, we're just gonna have to learn how I can race these guys, and how much give and take they have, and hopefully we'll be running up front the whole rest of the season.
And starting your season strong with an early victory here in the Charlotte Roval. Hunter, any final comments you'd like to send out? The floor is yours.
Nah, just thanks to all these guys. They've been very welcoming for me joining into the sport. And the ability for these guys to race cleanly and have such massive field. It's really mouth opening to see we can have 50 guys and barely wreck any.
For the first time in his Integrity Racing League career, he comes away a winner tonight from the Charlotte Roval. 07 team and Hunter Maculenis, thank you for stopping by.
Thank you.
With Hunter on the move, we'll talk to a more familiar driver now who we're not familiar with in any position other than first just yet. With 2 consecutive wins coming through strong in the Octane Series, it's a career best finish for Scott Eckridge here on the Mondays. And quite fitting, it comes at a road course. Sort of. It's a roval, but even still, you mastered the twists and turns well enough tonight to finish second on the day for your first podium.
Yeah, it was we're definitely hoping to do one spot better, but not upset. It's been a real long time since I raced at the Roval or in these Xfinity cars. So you just kind of take what you can get and move on to the next race, and definitely hope to be a little bit better at the road courses moving in the future here at least.
And you mentioned, of course, hoping to go out there and finish P1. Tonight, of course, qualifying in 4th, so a strong start. But the field, of course, the talent up at the front made it real stiff up there to even make any positions. Even 1 or 2 came pretty challenging. How was it for you dealing with the racing in terms of driver to driver, especially with this Xfinity package? It's a little bit more close quarters at a smaller road course like Charlotte.
Yeah, we unfortunately got 4th in qualifying, and just that first corner immediately lost 2 more spots, and just kind of got stuck behind some drivers that were fighting real hard. I mean, like they can, but I don't know, just kind of got stuck back in the traffic too long, and unfortunately got too far behind the ball. So definitely like a lot of competition here. You basically can't waste a lap around here if you don't qualify first, if you plan on having a chance. So you really just got to get all you can get early, and just failed to complete that tonight. But it was a really good run with the guys that were racing, and definitely a big props to Hunter there. He was cranking some pretty impressive laps there at the end. So definitely big props to him.
And tonight, one pit stop cycle overall under green. Looks like drivers had enough in the tank to go longer than about exactly halfway, most choosing to come in at the split. Was there anything maybe in specific that led to your decisions on pit road in regards to how the tires performed tonight?
No, actually, I really didn't know much about the tires coming into this one, and I noticed we were, it kind of seemed to fall off quick, and then you hit a plateau more or less. So, um, based on that information, seemed like just splitting it halfway seemed to be about the best. I think if you were real smart, you would try to time your pit stop to where you got at least a section of clear track. I think that was probably more important than anything. Big car count here, so definitely. The more open track you could get with people on your strategy, you could lose a second or two a lap just depending on where you caught somebody. So it's just real important to get everything you can get.
And it looks like tonight, taking advantage of every opportunity brings you back to the podium for 2 straight Integrity Racing League events. Now, we'll see you tomorrow, of course, as the Octane Series Championship continues. But talking specifically about the Monday nights, we're heading to Kentucky next week. Until we head once again back to our oval action, if you have any final shout-outs or messages you'd like to send to the audience, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah, as always, my LPM teammates, love hanging out with them, and you guys for putting on this broadcast that we can watch every week. We really appreciate it, and everyone at the league that tirelessly puts the hours into organizing this for us clowns. So, just shout out to all those guys.
Scott Eckrich, second place on the day, and another strong result of the road course here in the Charlotte Roval. Thank you again for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Scott on the move, one more driver to hear from, and that is the JTM number 8 of Matthew Thunhorse, one of the old guards when it comes to road course racing prowess. And again, Thunhorse showed what he had in store for the entire field tonight. With a strong P3 run, Matthew coming in on the podium tonight from the Charlotte Roval. Well, you've been here so many other times before with these road course performances. Tonight, one of the trickier ones as we go to the Charlotte Roval for the first time in the Ignite Series.
Yeah, David, it's this is the first time I think I've ever raced at the Roval, and I wouldn't be upset if it was the last, because this place, it was just the way with the front. I don't know what the heck Hunter or Scott had there for a while, lane before he had his issues, but I mean, it just felt like the front end was just a beach ball, just bouncing all over the place, and definitely wasn't easy. And then you got the problem where you get some of these elevation changes slight, and the car just wants to take off, and so it's real hard to drive these big unwieldy monsters. These cars driving fast without shredding the rears off, and it's one of those, it's like, oh, hey, got a third, had a good spot of the old guard at least, performed the best, but then it's like, ugh, I finished 15 seconds back, what happened?
And you mentioned 15 seconds of difference between P1, P3 today. Podium spread out, and you were able to get yourself out to your own world as well, because the fight from 4th on back was even tighter. So it seems like you were pretty lonely on the track today. How was it almost dealing with yourself above anything else? No real battles to note.
I mean, thankfully there wasn't any battles for position, but I mean, it was kind of sketchy. Like that first lap, I almost felt like I almost got sandwiched into the wall, and then I got behind Braxton, and thankfully, I think he ended up blowing one of the chicanes that let me get by him, and then I was able to scurry away from Blake and the rest. So, but it was definitely kind of one of those that was a little frustrating, that I just felt like I had the speed maybe to stay a little bit closer to Hunter and Scott, but it just felt like every time I get something going, it's, oh, hey, here's a lap car. So even though I was kind of racing myself, my own race, there was still plenty of company out there, and sometimes it was definitely unwanted where it's just like, oh, go away. Oh, why am I catching you here? So, it was, I don't know, I think there was like 50-something cars out here again, which is just shocking, the high number count that we have for the field again at a road course. And so I definitely wasn't a stranger to company, and if you ever felt lonely, you didn't have to wait long. You'd find somebody else soon enough.
It was a busy track, without a doubt, with how many drivers started, but it seemed like of those, you're one of the fastest outright. And it looks like that's just going to keep you on the up and up as we build momentum toward another run, and that's going to be Kentucky, going back to the 1.5 miles and going back to the ovals, no less. So far, it looks like this is your best race of the season, without a doubt. Maybe a chance to bring some of this speed back to the left-hand turns.
Yeah, I know it's been kind of crazy, David, with how many new people we've had that it's just like it feels like the talent depth of the league is just literally exploded. It's, felt like 2 or 3 times, and it's used to be hard fighting for a top five, and now it's just hanging on for dear life. And, because I'm not a big, I'm the oval cookie cutter tracks aren't my best. And, it's like even here where I thought I'd be fighting for the win, I really wasn't. So it's a lot of work, keep going. And, we got off to a little bit of a rough start there, and then we kind of started popping off top tens now that we got to past, I think, the first 2 races where I kind of had some trouble. So, it's promising. There's still a heck of a lot more work to do, but, it's definitely rewarding when you come out of a night like this and you go, it's maybe not what you wanted, but there's enough out there that still keep fighting hard and you still get rewarded when you do good and you're like, didn't get a win, but hey, we still fought hard. So it's definitely a lot different of a field from last year just because the number of guys that are just crazy good that have shown up this year.
And you mentioned talking about that talent depth. When we look back and we look through the numbers of all teams, veteran teams as we call them, from last year and the year prior, you finished highest of which on the day. With that said, Matthew Thunder's third on the night here. If you have any final comments you'd like to add, of course, make sure to let us know.
Yeah, David, just thanks to all the admins for all the work they put in and just everybody that helped put on a good race tonight. It could have easily been chaotic. And, I'm glad we put some motion on the car and I finally got a good podium, finally get to kind of show off the new colors and we're getting there. So, it's just thanks to them and Next Level Race and everybody else that helps put this on and you as well, David, and everybody else at Fireball Talks that helps, bring this to everybody. And just thanks to all the fans who watch. It's been exciting this year so far. I don't think it's going to, dwindle out anytime soon. So we're giving people to tune in Monday after Monday, which it's exciting for a competitor. Sometimes it's a little too much excitement for my taste, but, it's better than just having a boring race and just curb stomping the field, but, a lot of fun stuff, a lot of things to look forward to this year. And like I said, I'm super glad we can get some motion out front and kind of show off them beautiful colors. So thanks for them allowing me to carry them. And, just again, thanks to everybody else involved. I appreciate it. Makes Monday night's kind of the best night of the week for me.
Well, Matthew Thunder's coming away P3 in a strong run on this Monday night, rounding out the podium from the Roval. Thank you once again.
Yeah, thank you, David.
So you have it. Matthew Thunder's third on the day from the podium. Scott Eckridge second, and Hunter Matielenis finishing P1. We're about to wrap up coverage here tonight from the virtual Charlotte Roval. But before we do, we'll bring you some messages from our partners and associates. We'll be right back after this to conclude our coverage and, of course, signal toward next event. Next race for the Integrity Ignite Series, that will be on Monday night, next Monday night. Same time, same place, 9 p.m. Eastern at the Kentucky Motor Speedway. The Integrity Octane Series will race tomorrow from Las Vegas, 9 p.m. Eastern on FTN. We'll be right back after we bring you a few messages from the friends who bring all the action to you on this channel, and then we'll tune out for the night. We'll return after this.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Boundless makes its presence felt. It will not be ignored. we're helping turn ideas into reality with a wealth of building products that take every architectural style to the next level. This is what it's like to imagine, build, and transform anything we want into exactly what we seek. This is what it means to be boundless.
This message is brought to you by the rebrand of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This publication may not be reposted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. NASCAR Camping World Ford F-150. NASCAR Xfinity Ford Mustang. NASCAR Cup Series Next-Gen Ford Mustang. Arca Menards. This has been the publication of the redesign and rebranding of Throttle Graphics and Designs. This message may not be reposted, republicated, or rebroadcasted without the authorized written consent of Throttle Graphics and Designs. Thank you, and thanks for your time.
And so another night of action-packed racing concludes in the Integrity Ignite Series. Most importantly of all, we had 53 drivers on the circuit and not one major incident to speak of. Although only 14 drivers finished on the lead lap, that's largely attributed to the dominance of your winning man in Hunter Matulanis, who comes away with his first career victory here at the Roval. With that said, conclusion, of course, for tonight's event, come and gone 46 great laps of racing from the Charlotte Motor Speedway Roval. Race 5 of the Integrity Ignite Series Championship, of course, comes to its end with next week, of course, race number 6 at the Kentucky Motor Speedway. Same time, same place, 9 p.m. Eastern, live on FTN. Thank you for tuning in to tonight's coverage. I've been your host, David Kreutz, commentating and producing. If you enjoyed, make sure to leave a like on the stream and subscribe to the channel. Your support is always greatly appreciated. And we'd love to have you back for tomorrow's coverage of the Integrity Octane Series as they head to the virtual Las Vegas Motor Speedway for 134 racing laps. Congratulations to Hunter Matulanis for coming away with his first career victory tonight. We look forward to seeing you all at our next broadcast, Las Vegas Motor Speedway, tomorrow on Tuesday, and our next Ignite Series event next Monday at the Kentucky Motor Speedway. Thank you for tuning in from the virtual Concord, North Carolina venue. We hope you had a fantastic night.